In this video, I'm going to cover the Add Anchor Point tool, Delete Anchor Point tool, and Anchor Point tool. If you come over to the drop-down menu next to the Pen tool, we're over in the toolbar. Select the Pen tool drop-down menu. We have the Pen tool, and we have the Add Anchor Point, Delete Anchor Point, and Anchor Point tool. Note that there's hotkeys associated with each one. I would get used to using the hotkeys. So for the anchor point tool, it's the plus sign on the keyboard. Delete anchor point is the minus sign, and anchor point tool is Shift C, and I always tend to forget that one. But for now, we're over here in the Pen tool. In the drop-down menu, choose Add Anchor Point tool. Come over to your canvas. A plus sign will appear next to the pen icon. So all you have to do is hover over the line that you drew, and when you hover over it, you'll get a little illustrator will kindly tell you that you're on a path, and the line that you drew will become a bright blue. So I can go anywhere on this path and click once, and it creates an anchor point. And now this anchor point is editable. Okay, I can like move the handles around and stuff with the selection tool if I want to. So I can add as many anchor points as I want to here. So let me just add one more. Okay, hooray for me. All right, now delete anchor point tool. Yeah, you figured out what that is, right? You delete an anchor point. So let's hit the minus sign on the keyboard to get used to the hotkeys. Hit minus on the keyboard. Little minus sign shows up next to your pen. So I can hover over any anchor point tool, and I can delete the anchor point. Okay, so notice you can make drastic changes by deleting anchor points. So for example, this is one of the original anchor points I drew when I started this series. Let me delete this one just to show what happens. And let me delete that one. So you can see like deleting anchor points will drastically change the curve. Let's do a Command Z, get back to something that looks similar to what you had before. And what else do I want to do here? Come over here and select the white arrow, the direct select tool. Okay. Just remember that with the white arrow selected, I can select these new anchor points, and I can edit the anchor points any way I want to. It's kind of get used to using the direct select tool to find these anchor points, because like when it's deselected, you might have to do some selection to get the handles that you're looking for. For example, I selected this handle here. There's an anchor point here, but there's no handle, so I have to hover over the anchor point and select it. So it's pretty intuitive. Get used to using the direct select tool to get a visual on the handles and anchor points. That's going to be a big deal when we use the next tool I'm going to show you, which is the anchor point tool. So let's come over to the drop down menu and choose anchor point tool, or you can do Shift C. Okay, and you get this little bird beak icon. And what's really cool about this anchor point tool, here we have an anchor and we have handles. The one thing that the anchor point tool will do, it'll change a curve into a sharp corner, and it'll turn a corner into a curve. Well, what the heck am I babbling about here? Let's come down to this very bottom nice curve here with the anchor point tool, and if I click on it once, it made that curve into a sharp angle. Okay, so I have a sharp angle. Now I can hover over that sharp angle, click, hold, and drag, and it'll change a sharp angle into a curve. So, and it's easy to get twisted up here, so let me do that again. I got this nice curve, anchor point tool is selected. Click once on the anchor point, I make a sharp angle. If I have a sharp angle, I can click, hold, and drag on the sharp angle, and I make a curve. So experiment with that and kind of burn that into your memory. Anchor point tool, make can make a curve into a corner, and it can make a corner into a curve. The other really cool thing that the anchor point tool can do, and I want you to experiment with this, is when you can see the handles, and you might have to enable the direct select tool to see the handles, but I can grab a handle with the anchor point tool, click, hold, and drag, and it breaks the curve. Okay, so I can edit one half of the curve. Now this is like a really, really powerful tool for making like very complex shapes. Okay, so experiment with this tool, the anchor point tool, and see everything you can do with it. Change some curves into corners, change some corners into curves. Experiment with like breaking the half of the curve and so on. And you can always, we're just doodling, you can delete and start over again. Remember, you can always Command Z to get back to where you started.